Alrighty.
This movie, ladies and gentlemen,
Oh, yeah.
WeWork.
Talking about WeWork, or the making and breaking of a $47 billion unicorn.
I'm going to be, because Jim already said he really liked it, I'm going to be the negative guy on this one on purpose. Not that a documentary like has to have a plot or whatever, but I feel like I don't feel resolved by this thing.
No,
and I
not
don't
at all.
feel... I feel from like the beginning, I don't know, they do an okay job of making this company look good and then look bad and then look good and make this guy look okay. Couple things. One, I never like...
I thought he looked like a psycho the whole fucking time, but go
Really?
on.
Yeah, see, I didn't really get that. And
No, he was nuts from the beginning.
Multiple reasons.
He's
One,
definitely
I don't think he's
delusional.
normal. Yeah, I don't think he's normal. But we'll start with him. Adam?
yeah.
Adam.
Yeah.
I don't think, what I hate is when people, and maybe this is my ego speaking, so you guys can tell me I'm a fucking loser, but I hate when people say like, oh yeah, Adam's so charming. And then obviously they're only showing clips of him and you don't get to talk to him, but you see some raw footage of him doing an interview and I'm like, this guy's not charming. And maybe
Yeah.
that's because I think my only talent is to be charming. And so I'm like, this guy doesn't hold a room. He's not, he can be friendly.
Charm's the wrong word. He's if anything, he was more just like a chameleon. He would just kind of mirror maybe your personality, make you feel comfortable.
Maybe, which is, manipulation.
Yeah.
Maybe. And I think there's a healthy way of that. If you have good intent to like be relatable, right, versus being manipulative. One, I don't think any clip they show is he charming. And then maybe I'm a hater again, but I'm like, how you guys are so stupid? Like, this guy didn't sell me on shit.
Yeah.
You know, like, and obviously, again, he didn't want to do the movie because he is sketchy. So we don't get a real vibe of who he is, and maybe he's more charming than I'm going for.
I thought I got exactly who he was. All of that, because the footage that they start and end the movie with, you don't know what it is when you first see it, and then when you get around to the end of it, you realize that he's trying to film something for the IPO,
right?
And it's entirely impossible. And the question I had, I
blames everybody but himself.
Yeah, I would need to go back and look at it again to see if it made any sense. But was there ever a time that we saw a video of him talking to the camera without an audience?
No, because
there was always a crew there that he was either communicating with or something. Like, he was never just like...
No, because I think he didn't.
We saw a lot of like TV talk show shit.
Yeah,
and we saw a lot of rah rally stuff. I think he's incredibly charismatic in the way he presents himself to a crowd. He can get a crowd riled up, and everybody's kind of going the same way. It's very culty.
Well, I think it's culty.
Super culty.
And again, maybe I'm an asshole because anyone, I guess, can fall into a cult if you're lost or whatever. And they touch on that a little bit, right? Like, this guy only really had people that were single with no families working for him and living in this place. And right, like, I get that, feeling lost and want to find community. You just moved to New York. You can't make friends. Oh, this is great. I have a built-in life here. So I understand that. But when even on those raw ones, his energy's good. But he's saying like the most cliche bullshit.
Yeah, nothing was like, oh, this guy's like a revolutionary thinker.
Like, it didn't even speak halfway to me.
But Mike, they all do. All the cult figures like this, they all spout the same bullshit.
I guess it's sure, but and there's some that, and cult's obviously on an extreme, but you could even go to like media or like podcasts when you have like someone who's a mega fan of someone, right? And that's obviously on the, like, hopefully the more innocent. If the leader of this thing or the content creator isn't manipulative or have ill intent, then they just get a cult-like following. And then if you get a guy who's sociopath, you get a cult. But even so, even modern day era, I'm not going to name any names to throw shade, but we could all think of probably 10 guys off the top of our head that are in the media or Instagram or podcasts or something that talk like this, like these life woke coaches.
Yeah.
Even those, I can listen to their podcast and say, like, this isn't for me, but I understand why people follow. This guy is kind of charismatic, or he delivers a message, or even if he says, like, be a part of something bigger than yourself. I've used those terms because I believe in that thing. But how you say it, how you deliver it, how you wrap the story around it, I can see, like, I understand why they follow Jim. I can't understand why you follow Adam. Like, I don't think he speaks that well. He just has this fucking... And again, it's just stock footage. Maybe I don't see the whole picture, but, like, WeWork. I'm just like, I don't know, man. And it's 2015. It's not like it's from 1980.
No, this is not that long ago.
Yeah, and WeWork. I'm like, I don't know. Work hard, play hard. Okay.
Well, let's back it up for just a second and talk about what WeWork actually was, because it's very possible that people don't know.
I wasn't that aware. Yeah.
If you were not in a major U.S. city, you probably didn't encounter a WeWork. If you were in New York City, you probably couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting one.
Yeah, there was WeWork was how many in there? 200.
Yeah.
How wild is that?
So it was a company that basically did co-working facilities.
Right. Maybe invented or at least popularized the idea of it.
Popularized. They tried to
make a lifestyle out of it.
Out of it. That's exactly it.
Cult.
Right.
We life.
Super.
It was really We Live.
We Live.
We Live.
Yeah, you're right.
Sketch.
Yeah.
I'm not going to anything say this live. 3rd Street Live. Get the fuck out of here.
They basically leased a lot of kind of distressed buildings, especially as they went along in New York and other cities. And they built out these co-working facilities that were very small. Like, you're paying a lot per square foot for a small thing.
A lot of glass to make it feel bigger.
Right. And they really tried to sell the idea that it was the place to be if you were incubating a new thing. And it wasn't technically an incubator, because in an incubator, like the incubator is providing some funding and they're getting some kind of a percentage of equity.
This was just like, hey, rent this desk and be around all these creators just like you.
Right. The general idea, I think, is genius, right? He started in like 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10 when we're in this recession, so these buildings are probably ruined. Cheap as shit. And then the other idea of taking like what was Facebook when it was booming around that time and making it in person. Hey, why go to MySpace or Facebook and meet the owner of Caffeine and Kilos when I have an apparel brand and we can be friends, when we could just work next to each other and probably be friends and share ideas.
Share connections, whatever. Yeah.
General idea for business and life. Yeah, that's fucking sick.
Yeah.
I get behind that. But I guess this dude Adam, this vampire-looking fuck, isn't the one selling me that idea.
Adam Newman.
He looks like the guy from Zorro, but like his ugly cousin. What's his name?
Who's the real Zorro? I mean, I know Antonio Banderas.
Antonio Banderas.
Yeah. He's a long-haired, ugly ass Antonio.
Looks like a discount 99-cent store. Antonio Banderas.
His body double.
Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, he kind of does.
Yeah, and the other guy that we didn't hear much from or about, Miguel
the co-founder.
Kelvey.
They didn't say if he declined to be in the documentary.
No, they did.
Oh, McCovey did too?
At the end, they did like the little blurb lines.
I saw Adam did. I didn't see McCovey. Because I think they interview him for real in the beginning.
Yeah,
I think the filmmakers do.
Right,
I wonder why they didn't dig into his ass. Maybe he was just being politically correct or whatever and avoiding
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because he might have still been part of the company or something. He might not want to throw everything under the bus.
No, he's still part of the company.
Yeah, so because
the company still exists.
Adam or not Adam, the other co-founder was pretty neutral-ish.
Miguel
with the interviews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, they tried to take this concept and extend it into childcare and
apartment commune.
Yeah, they're like like a work commune is how they describe the
big fact that I didn't realize. So I watched this twice. I watched it when it came out, and then I just watched it with you guys. But again, like watching it this time, I'm paying attention to shit I wasn't. They both grew up on literal communes.
Yeah, in different countries, but they grew up on communes. Yeah. So yeah, you would probably come out of a commune if you didn't fucking hate it, thinking that there might be something to it.
Here.
Yeah, I guess. For me, because I went to like a weird ass school. It wasn't a commune, but I went to a weird ass place that most people looked from the outside in. And just everything I do, I'm also neurotic, but like I analyze the fuck out of it and like try to take the good, but not take the all. Mm-hmm. Where like these guys sound like they took like the good and made it worse from like their commune childhood.
Was the We Live? Did you have to pay to live there?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought because they almost catered it like it was
like invite.
Like it was like they were able to stay there for free as like this part of this like thing.
No, I think that was just a manipulation. Like, dude, Dean,
you're
only top 10, bro, and we need you there. You're gonna love this. Yeah, I think they just fucked with you.
One guy like broke his lease to move into the.
Yeah. He didn't, and he didn't work for WeWork.
No.
Where a lot of the We Live guys work for WeWork.
Yeah.
So he just did it just to be in there because someone convinced him.
Because they sold the fuck out of him.
Can I say something about this whole thing?
Yeah.
It's like
absolutely.
It's like. Now, who's at fault here?
Right.
This Adam guy or all these fucking idiots?
All of them.
That that overpriced the entire business.
Yeah.
I don't really feel sorry for anybody in this whole thing.
I don't really either.
You know what I mean? Like,
No.
I was waiting for that oh shit moment that kind of happened at the end when they talk about when we get farther down the road.
Yeah.
Here. I don't want to like talk about it
No,
too early,
there's
but, like,
one person I might feel sorry for.
There's
that
like,
assistant girl.
Yeah,
because she's like going to therapy. And
I get that.
And like, if he's selling her the dream and he's just a straight liar,
that's fucked up.
Because if she didn't see the books, right, she's just working her tits off, doesn't see the books, doesn't know how much money they're not making, you know, and she's thinking the company's crushing it. And she's like, oh, I'm going to keep working. I'm working hard. And she's trying to find fulfillment. I feel bad for that.
That's bad. You're right, 100% right there.
But yeah, the rest of them are just
I meant just
followers.
like the other employees and
I
the
agree.
followers and the people that are just
100%.
like putting this number on this business. Like, what was my favorite? One of my favorite like characters in this entire documentary was the NYU teacher.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He was fucking great.
Yeah.
And when he said my favorite part was like,
not the lawyer.
No.
I like the
white
lawyer
guy
too.
With the beard.
I like the black guy,
bald guy.
the
He was
lawyer
cool,
too. Yeah, I liked him.
Yeah, what did he? One of my favorite quotes he said was, "All this guy was doing was fucking renting desks." Like, quote for quote.
He was.
They tried to present themselves as a technology company, but they were really a real estate company.
Yeah, was that for tax reasons or was that just to sell the whole story? Because that was a huge point.
To look like a disruptor.
Yeah, because that was the whole point through the whole thing. They kept mentioning that. Oh, we're a tech company. He kept trying to prove that, which I don't get why. If it was a tax deal or I guess a visionary type deal, because I don't know, but you could be a visionary in real estate too and doing something new.
Well, but then they go into that where they start talking to that NYU teacher. He was talking about how like one of the biggest red flags that no one was like addressing was the fact that their one floor in these buildings was valued at like 3 or 4 times the value of the entire building if you wanted to buy it.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, why was that so overvalued when someone could just come in and buy the whole building?
Right. Or another company could just go do this down the street.
Yeah, it was like
cheaper.
$54 million for the building, but this one floor was worth $100 million or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
the other thing
that's a huge red flag in like
Yeah.
the economic spectrum of this stuff.
Right.
It was
Yeah,
just like,
but I guess like who would catch it, right? Because it stayed private on purpose. And then like if you're renting a space and enjoying it, you're not going to look at it.
I wonder what were they charging?
I don't know.
Really talk about the prices of stuff. I wish they would have told us more like what these people were paying for this desk.
So there's one positive I want to get at, and then I want to dig up more negatives. The other positive I liked is that I do think he did spend some sociology, psychology, brain, creative power on how they built it out. And I don't know how much that influenced like Silicon Valley, but like I've toured Google and YouTube in New York, the new Reebok HQ in Boston compared to the old one, and how they lay out stuff is very similar. And they
I think that he followed that. I don't think he.
That's
I don't know.
Google. That's
I don't know.
the Google.
Yeah, I don't know who started or
Like that-
Facebook or I don't know. But that is new, and he did bring that to the masses in a way, right? He brought it to the everyday
brought it to
person.
the common folk.
Yeah. So that's my last positive, because I do think some of that's good and positive to like not be stuck in your cubicle and be scared to go ask your boss something, but your boss is on the couch next to you working just as hard and you can communicate. I do think there's something positive to that in the corporate world or even small business world. More of the negatives. Yeah. How many employees did he have?
Well,
So
they
a
fired.
lot.
Well, they
I don't
fired
know.
over 6,000.
in one like day.
And
Yeah.
what the fuck are they doing?
That's
I
a
don't
really
know.
good question.
Like I could understand, like honestly, this type of business model, if you're real fucking smart, is like you have like an assistant, maybe like a business partner, one other guy, and then you're just hiring contractors,
to build.
like and maybe contracting some interior designer folk.
But that's
like,
not what they did.
no, I know, but like, who are you hiring, and what the fuck are they doing all day?
I think it was the people that were.
Marketing, I guess, or sales.
I think of people running those other programs that they were trying to get off the ground.
Maybe, yeah,
like
the
Kids
school,
center
yeah.
and like. But yeah, I mean, like, how do you? I can't even think of 10 employees to name that he would be using that
Right?
weren't that could have been contracted, or let alone like having 6,000 employees. I wonder the company was just hemorrhaging money.
Yeah. Salesforce, I guess you could get a little sales team going to go get new companies in, but
I
like
guess advertising. But
Yeah.
like, you just like
location people who
Real estate-y folks.
Yeah, like scouting places to lease.
then
And
you had
I
all
guess-
the heads of all the different buildings,
Right, but
There's,
that-
like the CEOs of each.
Yeah.
little-
True.
the
He did that later.
CEOs. That
Yeah.
that's
that's what the
was like-
lawyer said too. He said, "I'm never calling nobody a CEO." I was like, "Yeah, don't blame me, bro. Fuck that."
I remember the funny part at one of those like summer retreats, the person who had like the most like grasp on reality there with the security guy. So he's like, oh, so you guys are just a cult.
Yeah.
That's
so
it.
That part, talking about Adam not selling me worth shit, that first party they show and throw,
Awesome.
I understand how you could grasp an audience, right? Because that's right in the Coachella era. It's like right in me and Dean's era, like early college, early 20s. Coachella's a thing. These festivals are a thing. So if I'm going, even if I'm dead broke, I'm running a bullshit tech company, paying WeWork $3,000 to live there, and my company's failing. If you get invited to this thing for free or cheap, and you're partying with all these like entrepreneurs, you think you're in the fucking mix. You know, you think.
Well, we convinced everybody that their companies were going to be bought out for $10 million.
Right. You think you're your buddy, and you are the next Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
And so you're there partying your ass off because you deserve it, and you're on this party bus, and Ashton Kutcher's up there talking, and there's all these, whoever's performing. They showed a couple real famous folk performing for a second. Rick Ross and shit like that. And you're like, so I can understand that as a good selling point to throw a party like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's mixed reviews on Amazon, Facebook, Google, and employees. I have a couple friends that work for like Google and stuff, and they enjoy it, but you hear both sides of the party. But I understand that. Going to Google tour the whole thing on YouTube, they have like all these little rules that make you feel fucking awesome. Meaning, like within 50 feet of every desk, there's a snack station. All the snacks are free, and they're fucking sick. Like, yeah, that sounds amazing to work there, right? Like, there are all these like mini perks. Like, this party is their big mini perk, and you don't even work for this guy.
Yeah.
So I understand getting bought into the system with that a little bit.
Yeah, and the one guy's like, I don't want to go back. I didn't have a good time. I don't want to go.
Well, it's funny. They anchored this, like, everybody being convinced through these parties, and then later in the film they show how it almost felt like people were like forced slaves to like attend this party with like tracking devices.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what happened? You made it seem like it was like the thing everybody wanted to go to, but then at the end, it was like everybody was like locked and chained down.
Yeah.
And had to be there. It was weird. Was that like when like people like started noticing like things were changing with the company?
Yeah. See, that's where I
got a little lost.
that
was more of a question.
Going back to like documentaries and how they build a story arc that may not be true to the real story, right? Because they need like this crescendo and they need the dip. I don't think Adam's an awesome dude, but I don't know if he's a complete sociopath.
Oh, I think he's totally a sociopath.
Just based on like his first ideas to build kids' knee pads.
Oh, yes.
Like, that's his first business ever. Like, that doesn't seem like a mega mind, I'm going to take over the world.
That's a very small idea.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess you could think you're going to be the next Gerber or something. I don't know.
Like, where's the ceiling on that company?
Right. And if you're like this manipulative, I'm going to take over the fucking world and get a $10 million investment.
You're not making
or
one
$1 billion
product that's for knee pads for toddlers crawling or babies crawling around.
Yeah. And I don't want to sympathize with him because I do think he sucks. Like, I don't want to be on Adam's team either. But I don't know. But I could also see, I don't know, dude. It's so weird. We had Uriah on, and we were talking about, jokingly but not, I don't know if it made air or not. I forgot if it was a pre-conversation. Just about, like, coaches that I know or whatever, like, falling into coaching, like, big-time celebrities. I'm like, this guy's not even a good coach. And Uriah's like, yeah, everyone's a salesman. Like, if you want to train Michael Jordan, you're a good salesman. Like, you might not have to be the best coach. And maybe Adam had that in the private conversation, because what kept popping up to me, I was like, this dude's like lying on his books or not showing his books, and he gets a $10 billion whatever from SoftBank.
Yeah.
4.
Like, is that
$4 billion.
again?
$4 billion check.
And they were looking for 10 at the end.
But then
He thought they were just going to keep giving him money.
Yeah.
But who's stupid there?
Because
Like,
they were so invested in their growth.
The SoftBank guy can't be that dumb, right? Like, he's fucking rich as shit. Like, he's
Well,
had
that's
to
why he
make good
didn't do it,
decisions.
right?
Well, here's the thing. I think that if you're somebody that's experienced phenomenal success and made a lot of money, you're trying to keep up that standard.
Sure.
And after a while, you have to start chasing fucking wild turkeys.
Sure.
To find that next thing. And I think that's all that was going on there.
He got $100 billion in investing into that.
Insane.
Into that group funding organization.
Yeah, whatever it was
so
called.
Him losing 4.
It's true.
Didn't
even really lose 4.
Yeah.
Who knows? Like how much?
And you probably have a lot of confidence in yourself and your decision making, so you think what you're going to touch is going to do well. And then I think you're right, Jim. Like, it's not that repeatable. If it was that repeatable, our like gap in wealth in the world or America would be bigger than it already is, right? Because the top would have these secrets. Like, it's obviously easier to make money when you have a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
But it's still not. It's not foolproof, right?
No.
It's not foolproof to do that. And so, like, every big guy in like the typical stories, like I don't know, like Gary Vee forgot to or didn't or missed on investing in Facebook and he did Google or whatever, right? Like everyone makes mistakes, or if not everything you invest in goes nuts, but it just seems so bad. I guess maybe. And they kind of said Adam fudged the books pretty good, and they just took away rent and shit.
They made up their own
their own system,
their own metrics.
But then even then, if I'm investing, like I'm not like, oh, you're just gonna make up your metric. I'm not in. I would just cancel it.
I think it was because of the back to what you were saying earlier about him being a good salesman. He convinces people, oh, look, though, this is the real truth because these numbers here, like this loss here, isn't really a loss because it's going to come back on this end. He was just good at manipulating.
I hate that.
You just show somebody something. And
I want to sit in a meeting with them. I want to sit in a meeting with them because
and see if you're taken in.
Yeah, win me over, Adam.
There was like that one you were talking about, Jim. Like, was he ever doing an interview not around a crowd? There was like that one where he's like, "Are you getting my left side of my face?" When he's like sitting on that couch.
He's like shooting a YouTube video or something. Yeah, like a marketing video.
There was like that one, but besides that, I think
there was not much of it. He needed an audience to keep going, and I think that's part of the reason that he had so much trouble with that video that he couldn't ever actually do. Yeah. I have what I think could be a controversial take, but it's up to you, Dean, to tell me whether or not I'm right.
Okay.
I'm watching this big party thing, and I'm watching all the rah-rah and stuff, and I'm thinking, oh, this is CrossFit for work.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to compare the two. Like you mean like the lifestyle of
people buying into something. Mm-hmm. The financials might not really be there. Mm-hmm. With CrossFit, there was no protection from competition from other affiliates.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if like these tech companies that worked at WeWork, whoever, right? Mike's LLC. If they go into their other investor meetings or they go somewhere and they say, yeah, I'm a WeWork guy. If that elevated them in their personal investor meetings or in their personal sales, this guy, like Mike's LLC goes to Facebook to sell one of my apps. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a WeWork guy. I wonder if that elevated them in this weird niche of tech world.
I think so, because it was just like,
people thought it was good.
A buzzy halo effect around WeWork. Because, I hear WeWork. And people don't dig into it to find out, like why are they in the news?
Yeah, but they heard WeWork's crushing it, and they must be crushing it because then the people that use it must be crushing it.
It was the brand. Everybody's buying the brand.
Yeah.
You're buying into the brand. And I think with like we were talking about with CrossFit, it's an interesting thing because there's a lot of really good gyms out there, and there's obviously some that there's going to be good and bad gyms. But as far as like, I think that where the early CrossFit days with like the affiliates, everybody's just buying that name with your, your $3,000 a month that you're paying CrossFit. Yeah. It's just so you could put that name on your
right.
It doesn't really come with much else.
Yeah,
or not used to. Nowadays, since the new owner's taken over, that's definitely trending in the right direction as far as like more group, more interactive like stuff on a coaching business, not the business side of it, not just like, oh, here you want the name, here you go,
here's the flag,
see you later, never talk to you again until December 30th when I need my check for next year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Where now it's definitely not like that as much anymore. But it was, it's interesting how it is like the lifestyle and the feeling of CrossFit, kind of like with the WeWork.
I kind of think it is. I think it's a good take.
Similar.
Jim. I think on both aspects. I think from the consumer aspect where the party, right? CrossFit's kind of about that too. Like it went in flows, but it kind of like trained real hard.
Early on, it was like really like it was to drink beers while we do burpees.
Yeah. The best. There's little articles going around that beer is one of the best recovery tools after a Metcon.
Yeah, because stimulants after working out is like probably the worst thing.
They're like carbs, the sugar, it gets to your muscles quick. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but what about the alcohol?
Yeah, which takes away from everything we just did. Yeah. So I understand it from kind of the consumer of that, like group effort, like, oh, Dean's going there and he met his wife there, and then he met all his friends there, and like, oh, I'm gonna go do CrossFit. That's sick. Yeah. Built-in friends, built-in community, built-in. You feel like you're working hard.
100%. You're going to events,
right? And then on the business part, which you kind of touched on, the business part, it kind of sounds the same too. I'm gonna pay slightly overpriced probably to get my desk because I know now I got that WeWork brand. I got my WeWork fucking mug. I'm getting beers at 5 with these other techies.
I'm getting FaceTime with all of these other people.
And I heard Dean's company been at WeWork for 6 months and he tripled his revenue. So I'm going to go in, and every company in there is just like you said, like the good trainers, whether they bought that CrossFit affiliate or not, they'd probably have a successful gym, right? Like CrossFit obviously probably helped them at the time, early years, because you're on the
ones
website.
That are still around.
there's tons that we know that are around that drop the affiliate. Probably same with the tech companies, right? Like, you can't just buy the WeWork desk and then be successful. But if you're a good tech company, you're probably going to be successful.
It's funny, though, but like, there's also this other problem, this other dilemmas. Like, a lot of people have taken what CrossFit gave them as far as, like, a reputation, a identity, a thing, and then they kind of ignore all that and then drop all that and kind of start their own thing with the same philosophies that they got from somebody else, which isn't, like, that's kind of bullshit too.
Yeah, I think obviously it's hard. CrossFit was interesting because there was like faces of it. There was like Castro and Glassman and all that. So you would think, and they did have connections with like the top athletes, like they hung out or whatever. And we won't get into their like own drama and politics that popped out this whole year. Who gives a shit? But
that's going to be a documentary, I bet.
No, it has to be. Yeah, it has to be.
Netflix 2022.
Yeah. But my point is that you would think, like Dean's talking about, the loyalty would go back and forth. But it seemed to not.
If anything, like the CEOs are like the box owners.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or they're like even beyond that. They're like the Rich Fronings. They're the ones that the company built up to be like the face, the celebrities that were in the community.
I remember that they were saying about those CEOs, they were just absolute dicks to people.
Yeah.
What kind of muscled their way around like groups. And
what was the example? Someone said, "Yeah, I went to this," and all the CEOs would just walk around like their shit didn't stink.
Yeah, they would
was
just
it
like
at a party?
Chant. It was like it was like at a it was one of those things.
Weird.
Yeah, that is strange. Like, how did all this happen from just literally just co-work space?
It does make me think, and I say this, I keep talking shit on Adam. I almost say it in like a positive light in some senses, that if you like, he could be a sociopath, but if you so believe in yourself and you so believe in your mission and you have a hair of talent or get some talent around you, that a lot of people can be successful, I think. I guess that's what it kind of is to me, that I just don't think I don't think Adam is as big as WeWork, where all the interviews, like, he's so charismatic. Like, for half an hour, that's like 20 different interviews. He's so charismatic. He's a great guy. He's really relatable. You really like him. He fills the room. I'm like, just because he's 6'3" doesn't mean you fill the room. I know a lot of 6'3" guys that aren't charismatic, and I'm fucking short as shit, and I think I'm charismatic. Like, that part I didn't buy into.
No.
How does this fuckhead do this? And then talk about red flags. One, he looks like fucking Kenny Powers meets fucking Zorro meets vampire, and then his wife. As soon as I meet that quack, I'm out. I'm cutting my lease. I'm not hanging out with this quack.
She was first off, she was clinically insane. Secondly, also,
where did she grow up?
Also, her acting skills are hot garbage.
I love that.
I thought that was a joke.
Was it the lawyer, or who was it that kept like outing people? Kind of. It might have been the guy you liked. He was like, yeah, you can't get very far without her mentioning Gwyneth Paltrow.
It's like her like third cousin from by marriage.
Yeah,
like
he's like, you can't hang out with her for 10 minutes without hearing this fact.
Pretty sure it was a lawyer. Yeah,
so funny.
So I don't know if you guys saw the documentary on Theranos.
No,
called The Inventor. There was an HBO documentary. The person at the center of that, Theranos, their deal was that they were supposed to be developing this box that you could sell to a pharmacy, to CVS or whatever, and with one drop of blood they could diagnose basically anything that was wrong with you. And it
sounds nice.
Like WeWork, there was like a huge investor spend on this thing. And they had an enormous organization. They had just tons of employees and shit. And the wife reminds me of this person because she seems so artificial.
Yeah.
And she was a total fraud. Everything that came out of her mouth looked like it was just not true.
Yeah, she's like eating this is the chick that's like eating McDonald's in the corner, and then Dean shows up for like a tea party, and I whip out my crystals and my salt lamp, and then all of a sudden I'm eating celery when you show up, you know?
Dude,
that's who she felt like to me.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Elizabeth Holmes read some study somewhere along the line or something, deciding that women have a harder time getting through to people, and so with their like a regular woman's pitched voice, so she taught herself to lower her voice.
Interesting.
And it completely sounds fake.
Yeah.
It entirely sounds fake, and people bought it. They fucking bought it.
So weird.
And it all came crumbling down when it came out that this box was not a thing that actually worked or was ever going to work.
Yeah.
It's like a
But there's all these
development.
scientists working for her
Right, that are bought in somehow.
that are bought the fuck in, and it's never, ever going to work.
Well, that's the same with WeWork, right? Like we talked about, who are the fuck are the employees? There's probably contractors. They interviewed the one contractor, right? In the beginning, they're like, yeah, he was underpricing me, but future promising, which is like a future promising is a large indicator, not a large indicator, one indicator of sociopaths or narcissists. Yeah, it's a big part of what they do to get people bought in. Like, yeah, Dean, come on the podcast, man. We're gonna get millions of things, and you can 50% of the ad rev when it comes in, right? You just keep building this up, which is understandable on any human to get excited about, right? If some of the person's excited and they also work hard, doesn't like Adam could have worked his tits off, and then you could oh, this he believes so much in it. And he's selling me on it, I'll believe in it too, and I'll just work a little bit. But yeah, who the fuck were these employees? I imagine some of the employees had to have gifts. They had to be not idiots, right? And so they're fucking bought in, like you said. These scientists bought into this box.
I think that people want to believe.
Everyone wants to strike gold.
Then like you say, people take advantage of that.
Yeah, for sure. But it is true though, because all of us have probably had a friend or a story like, yeah, dude, my friend started this hat company and they went ape shit. Like, I'm gonna go work with him on this other project he has, or whatever, or I'm gonna start my own. Because you hear stories of people hitting it big, and this one ended up bad, and many probably do. I guess moral of the story, is it bad that you bought in a little bit? Because I like chances. That stuff does get me excited.
You got to take risks to have success, 100%.
You can't start caffeinating kilos saying oh, man, there's another 100 other brands. We're not going to do it.
Yeah, no, that's not how it works. Yeah, you got to do it.
You got to be like, nah, bro, I think I can.
Yeah.
I think I can.
Or you'll never get off the couch.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you are either an employee of WeWork and bought into Adam, or you're a tech company and want to buy an Adam, you got to believe in your fucking app. And you got to be like, all right, this will be a step to my app. I got to go.
And at the same time, if you're starting something up, you have to be able to describe a future state of success to people that you're trying to get to buy into your thing.
True. For
either as investors or as someone who is working along with you that you can't afford to pay what they're worth.
Right.
That's
yeah. Like future selling or future telling. I guess it comes down to intent and how often you do it. If you're doing it to every motherfucker you come across, then you're literally just lying and blowing air up their skirt because you're getting money from it. Yeah, you're a piece of shit. But I'm not going to go to our employees here at 3rd Street and say yeah, man, we're going to average 20 members and we're going to do okay. Then I wouldn't open a gym. I think we're going to fucking crush it. I'm going to tell you you're going to crush it. And 2 years from now when we double our membership, you're going to get a raise. That's what I believe in. Right? But I'm not doing it manipulatively to get you to buy into my bullshit. I'm getting it because I believe in it, and then hopefully you believe in me. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
He doesn't have to be a total piece of shit. I think Adam was a piece of shit, but
I think that,
to start any company, you have to have that also.
I think it started that way.
Maybe.
I think it started with those intentions, like you're saying, and then it morphed into this fight or flight situation where he's okay, the money stopped coming in. Then it turns into a scramble.
Yeah.
So the lies start stacking, the shady shit starts stacking, or you used to not be shady. Oh, then you had to do one little shady thing because things were kind of falling apart.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you've done 20 shady things, and now you're just a shady piece of shit.
What's they mentioned 2 or 3 things that they think were the real cause of the downward spiral of the company, because it sounded at the beginning like they were making money. One was the wife, right? What was another one?
Did you guys not catch big what's her name and the guy from the Beatles that
John Lennon or something?
John Lennon and his wife, kind of the same vibes, right?
Oh, between these two?
Yoko Ono
vibes, right?
A little bit.
She's kind of morphing him into this thing.
Yeah, puppeteering.
Yeah, and kind of taking over, calling the shots behind the scenes.
Did she make him a fan of his own brand?
Yeah, right.
As they say,
right.
And
then secretly she's in control. No, honey, that's a bad idea.
After a while, you start to like the smell of your own shit because somebody's convinced you that your shit.
And even that's so hard.
Stink, and it's also it's roses and lilacs. And
all that depends on the intensity of it, I guess, right? And that's where the psychology always comes into my mind, because you don't want to marry someone that's not your fan or doesn't believe in what you're doing. Like, whoever I'm going to marry better be rocking my fucking clothes and think I'm killing it, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, when does that go too far?
Well, then she starts taking pictures with them, like she's like a CEO.
She creeps in.
On, like, the Forbes magazine, she creeps in and, like...
And she's going to be if something happens to him, she's going to be the CEO. So,
100%.
like, to me, that sounds like she's planning to kill him. Like, he's going to die surfing, right?
She definitely could commit murder.
Well, then, like,
look at her.
all of her spiritual stuff with her, like, trying to implement the spiritual realm to the brand is, like, her way of, like, that's her contribution.
They said that was one of the flags, too, that kind of started to lose money. She started to just go off the end.
And that's where people stopped paying attention at those big meetups. So they're forced to sit there for 8 hours during lectures about her spiritual stuff. And they're, like, all laughing and, like, scoffing, like when they're like, I have to hold hands. They're like, what are we doing?
Yeah. It just looks so weird.
I just want to go drink the beer that you bought.
Yeah.
You know?
It was cooler when Rick Ross was here.
Yeah. What happened? This was replacing Rick Ross.
Yeah.
Well, just propaganda is really what it comes down to.
Right,
And it really worked on some people, and other people started to get cynical about it.
Yeah, they got him in this weird, and even the first like cult flag they kind of throw, and then obviously they kind of vibe it through the whole documentary because that's like obviously the point of it.
Yeah.
But the first like flag where people I think started recognizing the "We Live."
Yeah.
Guys like, yeah, man, it was weird when we heard people go outside of the house to their friend's party. Like, that's weird. Fucking freak. You live in New York. There's like 10 billion people. You ain't leaving the apartment?
On what floor?
Yeah.
Outside the building.
Yeah. And then they probably treated that person like shit, probably.
Maybe.
Like, why would you leave? And why didn't you bring us? And, you know.
Well, I guess if you're going to another WeWork building, that'd be okay.
Probably.
But if you left your own, like, community, but I don't know. These are, like, tall kibbutzes, I guess, supposedly. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I'm so confused on what stopped investors or people from like, okay, how many locations do you have? How many seats can each location fill?
Yeah, it's
What's
basic
the
math,
cost,
right?
What's the cost per seat? How does this equal $47 billion?
Yeah.
Like, what's a $47 billion company to compare this to?
I don't know.
Like,
Amazon or some shit? Yeah, I
mean,
know.
like, what kind of company is valued at that
and for a lot of it, right, they're just in New York. So, like, you're not even international yet. Yeah, how are you worth $50 billion?
You have 200 locations nationally, and you rent desks. How does anybody?
Yeah, it's a calculation on your phone.
Unless you're buying into like what this can be in 10 years, I understand that. But that is so crazy.
And in the first one, again, because I was casually watching it was probably like a holiday, and I'm playing with my dogs or some shit. I thought that their business model was to buy the buildings, and I was like, oh, that's genius, right? Because then you get double the.
They weren't even buying
growth.
the buildings,
right? So, like with the evaluation thing you're talking about, if they're buying the buildings, it's easier to buy into the purpose, right? Oh, you bought fucking 20 buildings during 2008 that were worth $300K, and now they were all worth $3 million, right? Like, I could understand how this snowballs, but your fact, you could literally count desks, count the rent per desk, and say like, oh, that's weird. This one only made $50K this month.
It's just like, you just do the math. Like, okay, well, so the maximum amount of money you can make if all these desks are filled in all these 200 locations is $200 million,
right?
Like, where is the
50 mil?
Where is this company valued at?
Yeah.
$50 billion.
Yeah. You typically, in any business, are not able to account for billions of dollars worth of goodwill.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
I mean, that's an accounting line item, goodwill, for sure.
Yeah, and like,
but billions of dollars
right,
worth?
and brand value.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and
we're talking thousands of millions times 40.
Especially when their business wasn't that complicated. Like, we're dumbing it way down, but it is. You rent a desk.
No, it was not complicated. And it was like the lifestyle was like not even that. It was like a once-a-year retreat.
Right.
It wasn't like this like...
And it sounded like the booze was free.
So
it's not like you're making money. You know, because I could understand if you throw the Coachella of fucking work office parties, maybe you could make a couple million on that weekend.
Right.
But it sounded like it was all-inclusive bullshit.
And also, like, there's only so much available real estate in a city like New York.
For sure.
How many square miles is that damn city?
Or available entrepreneurs. Like, I know it's like cool to be like a tech startup guy, but there can't be that many. There's finite.
There's an obvious ceiling and an obvious like chart to look at that would show you the absolute 100% top line of how much money this can make, and no one looked at that.
Yeah, that's where I do get confused on the SoftBank thing, because you're like, all right, he does have a lot of money, and it's not much out of his pocket to throw at this guy, and maybe he really believed in Adam, which is cool, because it sounds like they were pseudo friends for a long time, business friends, acquaintances. But yeah, you're not digging a little deeper. And obviously, they also ply into the whole storyline, like, that basically kept the company private so he could fuck with the books rather than go IPO early when he probably... Yeah, like, what's typical amount that you're evaluated at when you go IPO?
Really depends.
Yeah, but I mean, way before under Bill.
Yeah.
Well, I think that somebody they sit down in like a group, right? And they're like, and they sit down with people in Wall Street, and they're like, okay, well, let's start here.
Yeah.
It's like an eBay bid that you put up on your own, like your sneakers, and like let's see who bites.
Yeah. Yeah, it obviously elongated that process so you could fuck with books and things. Yeah, the other thing too is I feel like when you do something this sketchy at this scale, there's probably more sketchy people under him. Like, who's changing actual books? He's not in the Excel sheet. That person's sketchy.
He just surrounded himself by yes men.
Yeah.
And held absolute power so he can just do whatever the hell he wanted.
Yeah, I think it's common. I think that's the move, right? If you get some people, whether they're so bought in or they're so not free thinkers, or mix of both, because you can be like, I say people are stupid all the time, and people probably take that as like I think they're actually unintelligent.
I think we just all are.
No, we are, but I think you can be like really good at fucking taxes and still be a dumbass.
Yeah,
that's how I talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you're just not reading red flags or reading people or reading the situation, but you could be the best tax guy on the planet. You can still be a dumb shit. So maybe this dumb shit was doing his books.
He just filled himself around with like specialists.
Yeah.
Or really hyper focused maybe on one thing or a couple things.
Right. And if you are getting all these investments, you're paying them out pretty good. Even if you had 6,000 employees,
I don't think they ever made any money. I don't think it was ever profitable. Like they're saying now.
But you got these investments. You got to.
Well, yeah. You're using funding money to pay people's salaries until that runs out, and then.
But they got a new guy. Are they still a thing now? Are they moving?
They still exist.
Well, but they're saying that they're scheduled to possibly actually profit in 2021 or something.
And that's when this movie came
maybe
out.
in IPO. Yeah, this was just April of this 2021 is when it came out.
Yeah.
The SoftBank guy believes in a thing called the singularity, where at some point machines will be so smart that they're smarter than we are.
Yeah, self-learning.
Yeah.
And I believe in it too.
That's
Elon believes in it too. That's why he kind of says no fucking AI. He's like, we need to watch what we're doing here.
Putting chips in.
I mean, the Skynet, very Skynet.
Yeah, no, well, I think the concept I 100% believe in. If we keep making that shit smarter, of course it's going to self-learn. We have little dumb things that are self-learning, right?
I mean, look at a Roomba.
Yeah, right. That's literally the first thing that popped in my head too. Learns the room and goes. Even sound bars, like my fucking Bose sound bar, you like fucking press a button and it reads where the room is, and then it's just one sound bar and it goes everywhere. Surround sound. Yeah. Like, it reads something. I know that's not AI, and all these tech nerds that are listening to us are going to talk shit to us. But it's learning something.
It's on the most basic level.
Yeah, I can't do that.
But it's advanced at the same time.
Yeah, they get some emotions, they get some anger in them, and we're all dead.
And then to wrap up the whole documentary, they show that he ends up being. Of course, this guy is not Mr. Inclusive. He walked away with $1.7 billion and didn't give a cent to anybody else.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was like there. That's when I felt bad for anybody involved. For the first time in the whole documentary.
Yeah, that poor assistant at the end's interview's pretty good.
And that was kind of connected to that. Because basically he jumps ship because he gets basically fired and
wins.
But then he wins because he gets to take home $107 billion somehow.
You want to talk about
doesn't spread out the love to any of his employees that all got shit canned.
A hard pill to swallow. And my parents have the best parents I could ever have, so I don't want to talk shit on them. But the one thing I think, I don't know if it was them or like the Catholic Church, I grew up Catholic, or even my school or fairy tales, or like what you feed kids is that like if you do good, good happens. Right? Like that's just kind of a moral you're taught. Like be good, do good, good will happen. The good people win in the end. But like that probably was like 23 to 25. I had to swallow that pill that's just not fucking true. And you can make philosophical arguments that Adam didn't win because he has a wife that doesn't love him. He doesn't have any real friends. You can make these arguments that if you're a real shit.
If we're talking about just about money and like power, that never really left from being a scumbag.
And who's to say what winning is or what success is? But it sucks that even that guy is a shit can, whether he's a real sociopath or just on the spectrum of being a shithead, and he kind of wins. Yeah. Is like a hard pill for me to swallow.
He can wipe his ass with money if he wants.
He could go buy someone to love him.
Yeah.
Like he could buy love.
I think he kind of did.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't know, dude. That lady's whack. I want a documentary just on her.
There's a new documentary that just came out about the Real Housewives husband, the one that was the lawyer that did that big water case. What was that? Aaron Brockovich.
Oh yeah.
He was the attorney, the lawyer. That's what made him claim his claim to fame. He got I think he got he was one of the attorneys on that case. He got like $200 million from that settlement himself from his cut.
Yeah.
I think it was like a
his commission.
It was like a $333 million settlement, and I think he gets 30%. It's pretty average for lawyer fees on those kind of like pro bono cases. So I mean, let's do the math there. Let's say
70
$100 million.
whatever. Yeah,
that was like how he started. But anyways, long story short, his whole jig is up, and they made a documentary on him, and his wife is one of the wives on the Housewives of Hollywood or whatever, or Beverly Hills. And she divorced him, like this year, and it's because of like the tower has crashed down on his whole charade. Which it's only a 40-minute documentary.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just kind of like
no, yeah.
talking about it. But it might be a good one to watch because it's kind of on the financial side and like in the business
corrupty side. No,
it's only 40 minutes, so I'm probably gonna watch anyways.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah, all that. Me and Jim have been looking for like the right guest to kind of dig into sociopath, narcissist type stuff with like a therapist or something on the show because they say, right, like whatever. I think it's 3% of all humans are on that sociopath spectrum or something. I'm making these numbers up. Hence the name of the show, ladies and gentlemen, so you can fucking Google it and correct me. Yep. But it's something, right? It's something low. And then you go into like CEOs and like athletes and celebrities, and then it moves up to like 10, 15, 20, 30%. And we've said forever that in fitness, especially nowadays fitness, where there's pseudo-celebrities with YouTube and whatever, that percentage is probably just as high. And my therapist, who kind of specializes in that realm, doesn't know about fitness and YouTube, but I kind of explained the world to her. She's like, yeah, it clearly would attract more of that type. But what's interesting to me, and I think it is a nature versus nurture thing, and I think the science agrees with like narcissism. Like people have like a potential to be a narcissist, kind of like epigenetic type stuff. They have like potential to be it, and then how they're treated by the world, their parents around them, it could flourish
develops that like a Polaroid picture.
Yeah, and I think it can develop at different ages. Yeah, I don't think it's a developmental children type thing. So like say even in the spectrum of the movie, like maybe Adam did start out like I just want to save
that's how it felt,
right? But who knows if
it's also like we were also maybe groomed to feel that way,
right? I don't know, but maybe he just wanted to do cool things and he wanted to help babies' knees for a little bit, and then he started getting puffed up, and he sees billions of dollars of checks. He buys a $60 million plane, and now and his wife's feeding his ego all day, and he becomes one.
Where did they say they were spending $100 million a day or some shit like that?
$100 million a week. That was their burn rate at the end of 2019.
Yeah, what is that?
Jesus.
What is it on?
Everything.
Rent and
rent makes sense because it fucking New York.
Well, he was paying himself
rents and salaries, and he was paying himself. Yeah,
he was paying himself millions of dollars.
But like we're talking about, like the business model's so little. Like your overhead is like.
That's why the whole thing is like
it's wild.
It's insane that it even got this far.
Yeah,
because it's like the upside is not billions on billions on billions. It's like, oh, this could easily be like a $200 million concept.
Yeah,
but like not this crazy number that it came up with.
And you got to spread everywhere. You got to be
whose fault is that?
Right. No,
that's where like my biggest question still lies with this whole documentary. Is like, whose fault is it that this company was valued so high? Who's to blame for that?
I think there's plenty of blame to spread around.
Yeah. Who reports that? It's internally you report that when it's a private company?
Well, yeah, it's a private company, so really it's just your books and what you have to share with the taxing authorities.
Yeah, which you can fake, prove, and smudge.
And then if you have investors like with SoftBank or whatever, you're providing them with statements as well, and usually only annually, but you might be kind of top line quarterlies too,
right?
But everything that they were giving to everyone was purely propaganda,
right? The more businesses I run, the more you see how you can fudge shit. Like even if we were to do it, right, and we could show, because we have like the gym, the apparel, we have the podcast, we could like shove a bunch of money,
can create expenses,
and we could show that the podcast is doing all this cash when it's actually the gym and the clothes when the podcast makes no money.
Oh, if you like wanted to present it to like
if we wanted an investor
or something.
If we wanted an investor to hop on the podcast, we could easily say like, yeah, look at all this money. Yeah, these dollars, that came from the podcast. Podcast sold this stuff.
Yeah.
So you should invest in this podcast because it's worth this amount of thousands of dollars because we sold clothing and gym through the podcast. And basically the podcast is the mother company that does this.
That's probably what a lot of these podcasts are doing with their podcast
merch. No, 100%.
Well,
100%. Like I could sell the fuck out of that. And it's not really lying.
Yeah.
Right? Like you were talking about like mini scam, mini lie, bigger lie.
And then you start compounding.
Yeah, and then I could
then your whole life's a lie. And your whole facade's, a fraud.
Yeah. And I honestly in that example is not that good because I would feel comfortable doing something like that.
Yeah.
Because it's easy, right? Like how did we build a career? Well, YouTube podcast. That's
I get what you're
But for him, he could he could just choose one office that's been successful and like break those numbers down, scale them, and say, oh, well, this one did this in 2008, so these ones are going to do this in 2 years.
Yeah.
Even though only one was maybe successful at all.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on to the new and improved WeWork site and see what it costs to rent a desk.
Oh,
That's a good question.
We should.
I will freely admit there was a point at which, before we had settled on this concept in this gym, whatever, that I thought about trying to find a space that you could do co-working and small gym. You know, even if it was just like yoga classes and that kind of thing along with it, and it's a package membership.
And we've even talked about, and who knows, it may still happen with this studio as we build it out more to be like a co-work content creation. Because not everyone wants to build a studio. We'd have different sets you could kind of steal, and we'd bounce ideas off other podcasters or other YouTubers or whatever. YouTube does it themselves. They have like facilities inside that are kind of like that.
They used to.
Oh, well, they
They
don't.
closed them all
Remember,
down.
5 Star was in like one of the
really?
Built to Win was in one of those kind of like WeWork style
I didn't know that.
buildings. The one over off of like 23rd. But maybe even remember when me and Dante did the highly recommended.
Yeah.
That's kind of a similar concept, but it was more for that. The reason why, honestly, like that was actually, we had a lot of things worked out and it was actually going pretty good, but there was just more issues with the fact. It's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But the business idea of like a space for activation for new up and coming clothing brands
Or more online type dealers
online
that want
businesses
to do.
that want to have a shop for a weekend.
Yeah.
It was a great idea.
Yeah,
and
it is.
It still is, I think, and I think there's definitely a space for that. But and also even just having like private dinners, like having meetings in there. We were having like people basically like in the weed business like that had like regulations in like their zoning. Like we would have them, they would do like their tastings and testings like in there.
That's cool.
And we would just rent it to them.
Yeah.
It was kind of just like a space that can be a pop-up shop one day
Clubhousey
for
type
cookies to ladies selling fur babies the next day that are usually on eBay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
it's cool.
It was cool.
I agree, and I think WeWork, like we said, like I think it's the concept isn't the issue. It's like the lying, the manipulating, and then this random estimate. Like the concepts.
That's what I was getting. That's what I was getting at.
I agree.
Making it into much more than it really is.
Yeah.
So in
or finding a different way to scale than build a cult apartment. There's other ways, other things you could do.
In 2016, WeWork membership was $45 a month. If you wanted to rent a desk for a day, it was $50 plus the membership fee. $350 a month gave you unlimited access to shared workspaces, but a dedicated desk would cost from $275 to $600 a month.
That's so cheap.
I thought you said what was 45?
45.
What was 45?
$45 a month for the membership.
Okay, and then
I don't know what that gets you.
Yeah, but still, let's say,
but
even $500 to go in and have your own like big desk space.
Yeah, that's better than $6,000 for a building.
That ain't shit. Yeah, that ain't shit.
So
and you do it for 3 employees, like your top 3 employees, and then maybe the other ones pay a day pass if they need a meeting with you, or whatever. You know what I
maybe
mean?
you have like guest passes if you're a member,
Yeah.
like someone to come in. I don't know how that works.
So there is a WeWork not far from here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at 9th and Capitol.
Maybe we need to go explore. Maybe we become investigators.
Capitol is essentially M Street. We're at 3rd and T. It's at 9th and what would have been M, except that it's Capitol.
Yeah.
That's really close to us.
And it's WeWork the company.
It's
not
WeWork
the style.
The company. Yeah,
interesting. Because I'm sure we have a bunch of these style things in Sacramento.
Yeah, there's another, like the one that 5 Star was in, or I don't think they're still in there anyways, but it was the same concept.
Yeah.
There was like, you go in, it's glass, there's like a bunch of independent brands, and they have their own little offices, and then there's like a cool kitchen in the back with like ping pong and foosball.
Yeah.
It was dope.
Yeah.
It
No,
was
it's a great idea. And it makes a sense for so many categories, like clothing. It makes sense. Like if you get the right-minded people that aren't all fucking
Or supplement.
selfish.
They're a supplement company.
Yes.
Like they're not shipping out of there.
Yeah.
They're just going in there for their meetings
Yeah.
and their brainstorming.
Yeah.
and
Tech obviously makes sense, but kind of any company that's even semi-creative, I feel like it would kind of build you up.
Yeah, if Kevin and Kilos had like if we had someone do our our warehousing and we just paid someone to do that instead of doing it ourselves, like our shipping and receiving,
Yeah.
that's what we would.
Yeah,
have.
because you work on your laptop.
Yeah, we would just have a small building somewhere.
Yeah.
That we would rent. It would probably be like a WeWork style thing.
Yeah, that's smart.
Here in Sacramento, after the free month, it's $2.99 a month for the WeWork.
That ain't shit.
No, that sounds. If you have a business that's making any money,
Yeah.
like that sounds.
Even if
pretty
you
affordable.
want 5 employees in there,
yeah,
talking like $1,000.
Open
$3,000.
workspace, $29 a day. Conference room, $10 an hour.
Hey, you get a conference room for a whole day for $200.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, it's nothing. But it makes sense on them too, right? Because really what this is work style Airbnb and a little bit longer Airbnb.
Yeah, it's like
right?
extended stay.
Yeah, like it makes sense. Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Because there's like contracts, so you have to sound like a year
maybe
contract. Or
yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
but $200 a day for an office, it does make sense, right? Because like a mortgage for a house, or whatever, $2,000. If you rent it for one night, it's $100. Both parties kind of win.
Yeah. No, I think it's. I mean, it's so like they were saying though too. It is so repeatable and duplicable.
Yeah. What the fuck is proprietary besides the branding and supposedly Adam? Yeah. Yeah. No, you could crush
the one
it.
party that they throw.
Yeah.
And like the facade of the We brand. I don't know.
You do wonder if the type of people that bought so hard into that branding, the coffee mug and the beer tap benefits, are the ones that aren't going to be successful in their companies.
You definitely had someone come in that knew about branding.
Yeah.
Because the way that everything was done with like the logos and like the simplicity and the quotes,
how the place looked
and how it looked, like that was all on par for something like this. Like I would want that shirt if I was involved. I would want to buy all the shit.
Yeah. I want to hang out there. It does seem cool to sit down and talk
it's like
shop.
a CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
You buy your gym's merch.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, whatever.
Yeah. That was a good analogy.
for sure. Anybody have any favorite quotes from this one?
I already said mine. They're fucking renting desks.
Yeah, renting
desks.
I like the I'm never calling a guy a fucking CEO.
I had a couple. One of them was, if you tell a 30-something man he is Jesus Christ, he's going to believe you.
Yeah.
That's the same guy that said my quote.
Yeah.
That guy
That guy's a fucking quote machine.
Yeah,
he was a quote
awesome.
machine.
Yeah, he was good.
He was the star. He was the star of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was one of the few, because even the employees or the people involved never really like talked Adam down, except that assistant at the very end.
Yeah.
That's where like the story or how you feel is a little foggy.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like the story doesn't
the guy
crash.
too, the guy that lived in the We Live, he kind of talked
a little bit. He just said it was like weird, but you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Because they obviously wanted to build him up in the beginning, say he's great and he's building this company, there's so much money, and then they talked about the fraud and that he's a sociopath and cult, but they didn't like hit that cult. Like I feel like the music didn't change, the lighting didn't change, like they never made it feel evil, but it is kind of evil.
Yeah,
I don't think
they
they
tried to with like the tracking beacons in their wristbands.
Yeah,
and
but
like
that was so weird.
So like the story turned evil, but they never like, you know what I mean? Like you'd expect some music or some fucking something to
they just made it sound more boring than evil.
It was kind of like this sucked.
Yeah,
you're
right. Yeah, you're right.
You know, rather than like or catching some off footage of him saying like "fuck you" to someone or something.
Yeah.
You never had like a vibe.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Get out of my light.
Yeah, you never saw that. A little bit with the interview, you saw him be weird.
Yeah, he's like,
the interview, like,
don't walk while I'm trying to read this.
Yeah, you're distracting me.
Yeah.
No charismatic ass. Like talking is your gift. That would never throw you off. Fuck you, Adam.
I don't usually read off prompters. It's always off my that's why I can't do this. It's
Fuck
like, no,
you,
dude,
Adam.
you're just a fraud.
Yeah. He is the best fraud. I would say he's a really good fraud. He's not really charismatic.
He frauded himself into $1.7 billion settlement.
Yeah. Fuck you, Adam.
Yeah, no kidding. Another my favorite phrase of the whole thing was Nantucket sleigh ride.
Yes, yeah, with the whales.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a great analogy.
Yeah. The thing is, like, you harpoon it, and then you're going to have to ride it out, and that's what they thought. This is just a Nantucket sleigh ride.
That was a
we
Forbes
can ride
guy.
this thing out, and everything will, it'll pan out.
Forbes guy was decent too.
Yeah, he was good. He's the one that said that the Nantucket. That's going to be like a term in business for like these big investors. Like, that was great. That was a good one.
Any last thoughts on this sucker?
I enjoyed it.
I described it to you guys as like not a great documentary, but such a good story. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well,
The documentary was fine.
Yeah, I'm mystified by the fact that this is not as highly rated as Seaspiracy, which I thought it was also slickly produced, but had just a intellectual dishonesty at its heart.
Yeah.
That I can't get past. That other people apparently bought hook, line, and sinker.
For sure.
Like we're talking about with.
It's because of animals. It's humans' connection to animals. It's kind of an easy sell.
No, that's it's low hanging fruit.
Yeah. It's an easy sell.
It's eye candy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I don't think it was like I said, like they didn't make it feel dark, and it's dark. Like this guy's a fuckhead. He fucked over a lot of people investors, employees, regulars,
and went home with his pockets full.
And they didn't like hit that.
And went against every single thing he supposedly stood for.
Right.
Which
be
was
something
us,
bigger. Yeah.
This is all us.
We
there's no
over me. We over me.
Yeah.
We over me.
And-
I'll punch him right in his balls.
And like he they cut all those employees, but he never cut his salary.
no, for sure not. You know what I mean?
no.
So, but they didn't like hit that. You have to like, you literally just read that. Like I just said, like this sucks.
Yeah.
Like you just have to read that, but you
It's
don't
almost like
feel
they ran
that.
It felt like they almost ran out of time too, with like really. No, maybe not.
Or maybe the director's idea was to be as neutral as possible.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like.
It feels very safe.
Which makes it like good in a
Feels
sense.
safe.
It makes it good because you can build your own shit. Where Seaspiracy, like it gets so dark.
Well,
and there's blood.
the concept isn't as sexy either. Like it's
sure.
like a workspace compared to like animal life in the ocean,
Slavery,
and like exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like murder, slavery,
True.
ocean life.
True.
You know, like
Yeah, but like there's no like really like even New York's cool. Like they didn't show like super cool New York shots. They showed like 2. You know what I mean? Like they don't like build it how it is, but the story itself is so insane.
why were they showing like farmers with their families in fields at one point? It was like this stock footage. Whoever picked this,
I
did
don't
a
know.
Terrible job.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the American
stock footage
Dream
was interesting.
It was very like, I mean, yeah, this is a cool video and nice shot, but
Yeah.
like this farmer guy has nothing to do with an in city workstation.
Yeah, we're only in New York.
This guy's got a John Deere hat on and Wranglers. Like, what are we doing here?
He's never heard of WeWork in his
no,
life.
he works. Yeah.
yeah.
So this director's name is Jed Rothstein. Like I don't recognize much of anything else that he's done as a director. The Innocence Files, Enemies, The President, Justice, and FBI, The China Hustle, which is a documentary from 2017.
What's that about? I wonder. Sounds interesting. I like the name.
Just off the title, it sounds interesting.
Yeah, maybe America's Relations.
An
or some shit.
unsettling and eye-opening Wall Street horror story about Chinese companies, the American stock market, and the opportunistic greed behind the biggest heist you've never heard of.
Even though that's old, that might be relevant with all the China crypto stuff. I follow a lot
Crypto's dumping right now.
Yeah, I think it's because
Falling
China
apart.
booted it all and blocked it all, or a lot of it. And then I'm obviously very stupid when it comes to all this, although I read a lot of it. And a lot of guys I follow on Twitter about it, and a lot of guys think it's a good thing because China also blocked Google in like 2008, and then Google fucking shot
Blew
through the
up.
roof somehow. So people are kind of relating those stories. I can't relate them that well because I'm not smart enough to understand them, but that's why I think crypto's taking a shitter. And it's just the markets go up and down, especially crypto.
Probably more than anything else that we've seen so far, this makes me want to do something you were talking about earlier, is finding somebody to talk to about as an individual dealing with people who are sociopaths, people who are narcissists or whatever, and how to protect yourself from those circumstances, because clearly people need that, because some people just bought into this sucker
Well, it's
hook,
hard.
line, and sinker.
It's hard to ignore somebody telling you how good you are and how much value that they need from you. It's like hard to like not go along with that.
Yeah, and I think my analogy is good. Like,
What makes you a good and a bad person is like not taking advantage of that with people.
right. It's literally the intent of the person. Because if I go and say, hey, man, I'd love to work for Captain Kilos, do some stuff for you guys, you're not going to be like, yeah, man, we're pretty much heading downwards. We're pretty much done. And yeah. You're going to be like, no, yeah, dude, I think we got these really cool ideas coming up, and I think you could fit in here. And I think this, like, and you're being honest about it, right? Like, where is that line? How can you tell? Because you're never going to apply for a job where someone says, you don't really fit here, and we're not doing that great, but yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Like, that makes no sense either.
No. Doesn't.
Yeah, what's the extreme that makes this guy a piece of shit? I guess because and obviously the story ends with him leaving with his pockets full and not paying anybody out, and then he's a piece of shit. But hypothetically, what if he did all this future telling, then he left with 1.7 bill or whatever the fuck he got, and what if he paid out his assistant? Then is he a piece of shit future teller? No, maybe he's a good dude.
I think that
Right? It's one act. It's 10 years of future promising, and then one act that defines whether you're a piece of shit or not.
if he would have some way distributed the money amongst the people that lost their jobs because of his failed business handling, I think the story doesn't even exist.
That's what I mean.
I
It's
think that
one.
he moves
It's one
on.
decision.
He moves on with maybe, who knows? Let's make up a number, $500 million or whatever. Walks away with that, and everybody like got something like a heavy compensation.
$500K. If you got 6,000 employees, you pay. You got.
Yeah,
you can pay them all out pretty good.
No, yeah, that's true. Exactly. So it's like
Nice severance for everybody.
Something.
yeah. Then I don't think that the story really exists. It's more like this guy just failed at this grand idea that was close, to being
Yeah.
like maybe scalable globally.
Yeah.
And could have maybe changed the way that work in office working existed.
Think of other cities.
That's why you buy
That's
into
the
that.
one thing that they said toward the end is that people bought into it because everybody felt like he was close.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, think of the
And
other
that's where
cities
I
that are
quoted that from.
Yeah.
yes,
Sure.
similar to Manhattan. Like I've never been to Tokyo, but the looks of it, like this idea is great. Think of like we've all been to San Francisco. This idea is not bad.
I'll put a WeWork in China,
Yeah.
Tokyo, like
in
if they-
London.
how
Like-
many people live there?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
how many and how expensive is it to like you said, like half an kilos to rent their whole office if you're in London?
Yeah.
Impossible.
Yeah.
But you pay $500 per head.
Maybe that's again. I think we're talking ourselves into maybe understanding the evaluation
Yeah.
To a certain
Yeah.
extent,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like
Because it is
globally, but in the U.S. it has a very very low ceiling.
And before
But
I'm
globally
throwing,
it doesn't.
yeah, and before I'm throwing $4 billion at the company, I want you to actually start to scale it.
Yeah, have some
Yeah.
offices
Yeah.
in Tokyo,
Yeah.
Japan, or China.
I think that if they had actually gone through with the IPO and then it came out that they're running 2 sets of books and the reality was that it was all fraud in terms of their financial reporting, then people would have been going to jail.
For
It
sure.
would have been then there's for sure a documentary. If he's out of it before they tried to and failed the IPO, or they don't get this $10 billion investment from SoftBank, you don't really hear about that either. That's not totally a story. You have to have this.
Yeah.
You have to have a villain.
Yeah, the runaway.
Yeah, and a
And
villain.
who knows, right? What if because they don't interview these people? What if his wife took that money and he's like, no, I really want to pay my people. There's just like
You just
so many
don't know.
conversations you have no
Yeah.
idea.
And the partner is such a non-entity in the
I know.
story.
I wish they got into it.
Yeah, if I'd had more time, I might have done more research on what happened with this guy. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to evaluate these things as they are,
For sure.
as you experience them as a viewer.
He said out of his mouth that like he basically gave her all credit for who he was.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
partner also said that they started to grow apart, or the story said, like maybe the partner was a good guy, maybe the partner's a piece of shit too, for all we know. He probably got paid out too.
They just really don't even ever talk about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Right?
kind of Facebook story.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Some of those folks, and we all watched The Social Network like it was a historical document,
Yeah.
and it wasn't.
Right. There's a couple
know.
good documentaries on Facebook though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't from what I understood at the very end of the documentary, it says that they basically extended their debt. They're $480 million in debt. They extended their payments on it. And then he also got like $500 or $600 million or
Yeah.
something.
Something like
And then
that.
they extended his $408 million debt so he can still have money and pay off the debt and still be involved as an owner of the company.
That I don't know.
I didn't understand that part.
Yeah,
you
they
know what
did
I'm
say
talking about,
something.
though?
Yeah,
It's
I
like-
do.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
They
know.
extended their debt so he can like have a reasonable chance to pay it off while the company's still going.
Yeah, without him, kind of.
Yeah, but they gave him like 500 or almost 600 million or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
So it's
No,
like,
it
dude,
was.
like, if I was him, dude, I would just want this shit away from me. I would just pay off all of it, take $100 million, and
You-
do something else.
You do wonder, and some of that does play into like whether he is the sociopath or not, because like he could be so delusional that none of that affected him, right? Like
I think this was this was
insane
the partner.
confidence.
This was the partner's
yeah.
deal.
Oh, I thought that was his.
No,
severance.
he got 1.7 billion.
Oh.
Yeah.
This clean slate walked away.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe the partner's still involved.
I don't know.
Yeah, they kind of did like a brief little like 2-sentence, like
Yeah.
very important like 2 sentences, and I was just like, all right.
And the whole thing ended with all the people that they talked to putting their masks back on, which
What was that all
Yeah,
about?
that was a weird like last thing.
this is my take. They couldn't figure out how to land the plane, and so that's how they did it.
Yeah, and just or maybe to show you how recent it is, because the story like starts in 2008, and they want to show you that this is happening right now.
Yeah. Well, if
Yeah, that was a
it
weird
was
because no one's wearing a mask anywhere. I think that's maybe what it is. They don't know how to end it, and then also to say like this is happening right now.
further, I think that like I don't know how many co-working facilities were open during the pandemic.
Yeah,
it seems
definitely
like
not
a lot of them closed.
Not in Manhattan, right? Like that
Yeah.
place fucking locked up.
Yeah. Yeah. So
know.
anyway,
Yeah, that was a
that's-
weird. That was a weird note.
It was a symbol to maybe. I think you're right. I couldn't think of anything besides time frame.
Yeah, that was a weird note at the end.
Yeah.
I
I mean, it was
forgot
very
about that.
forced and very fake. It wasn't like them
No, it
like
was so
sitting down and
fake.
taking it off like to start the interview. It was like
Right.
them putting it on.
Yeah.
And then at one point someone put it on, then almost took it off again. I
No,
think.
it was
Yeah.
weird. It was
Yeah.
weird. It was weird.
I didn't. I like. I saw it and I thought, okay, so if I was stuck for how to end this sucker, that's probably something I would have thought of.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something that I
Follow
would have
through.
done, but it was something I would have thought of because it's like, oh, okay, well, so they're going back out into the world because they're not staying here. You know?
Yeah. What if they fucking got extra culty during COVID and they just stayed in WeWork?
I don't know.
Like
It's
fucking
like a
locked
situation.
down together. Yeah.
Squatting into
Waco,
actually
round 2.
Before we close it out, the recreations that they did that were all location stuff and without people in them, I don't know how they got that stuff. Some of it was clearly 3D rendering, and some of it was real. The one thing with when you see the phone ring and it's the SoftBank guy, I get it. I get it why you would do that. That worked on me.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I guess. Again, to how I explained it to you guys. I was like, I think it's a really good story. It's not like the greatest movie ever, though.
Yeah.
Didn't he went to a private island with his wife or something?
Yeah, at the end
during that call for that big meeting, he was trying to relax. Remember when they showed the phone that one?
Yeah.
He was waiting for the call for the the extra 20 million or 20 billion that was supposed to be coming in.
Yeah, it's also weird. I don't remember him going on TV so much either. Obviously, I don't watch those shows a ton, like Good Day America or whatever. But it seemed like he was on all those.
Did he have Ashton Kutcher totally hooked in?
No, I think he was just in. Yeah,
he had him totally convinced.
He might have paid him, and he might have just been in. Because Kutcher is he feels like he's trying to get in that new shit, because he talks about all.
He's a huge tech investor,
right?
right?
Yeah. So maybe it's just that.
His company almost produced a reality show based on a gym that we used to be involved in.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I think he is looking to do cool shit, which is cool. Props to him for that. And you miss again, right? Like Ashton Kutcher probably has 5 things that are super dope, and probably 100 things that sucked.
And when I saw Lewis Howes on there, I thought, oh yeah, okay, of course he does, of course, because he's in
that's
that
a random thing.
He's in that zone where you have to chase everything that people are potentially interested in.
Yeah,
and so he had the guy on.
Yeah, new tech fitness.
Bull.
Lewis Howes, I don't know if you know the name. He's a pretty big fitness. Started pure fitness podcaster, and then now he's kind of life coachy podcaster.
School of Greatness.
Yeah,
not so much. Anyway,
plug away, Dean. Where can they find you?
Oh, just at deansidorus.ck on Instagram, or Caffeine and Kilos. Check out what we got coming down the pipeline. Get yourself some coffee, that kind of stuff.
Is it an Olympic drop you just dropped or coming? That's the vibe I got.
So
4th of July Olympics, all of it.
Exactly. So today is for our CK Plus members. It's they get the day early access on the new drop for this week, which is it's like a 4th of July / it's Olympic season because of the COVID or whatever. So.
I think it's July 20th the Olympics start. That'll be sick.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can find a documentary on something like that.
Like
an Olympics one?
Like Olympic sports or an Olympic athlete.
There's got to be a good steroid one.
Or a Phelps one. Yeah, there's got to be a Phelps one or somebody of that nature.
Yeah.
I'll dig. Well, maybe we'll do that for the end of July.
Makes sense. Shout out
Icarus
to...
was.
Yeah, we already ruined it.
Shout out to the brand new World's Strongest Man, Tom Stoltman.
Mr. Stoltman. Yeah, it was
from
cool.
Scotland.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We got to witness that, sort of. I couldn't really see anything.
I can see the right side a little bit.
I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, I heard that a trolley had the brakes on.
Yeah, they're supposed to do a train pull. They didn't know how to take the fucking brakes off. Eventually, they did take them off, and they did a train push.
They did a push instead. But they had 2 guys who tried to pull, and nothing happened.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because the brake was on. That's great. All right, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
Other than that, and other than the fact that they had very, very limited spectators until they got to the finals.
Yeah, it seemed like they had some success, and they'll be back next year.
Hopefully bigger. They'll definitely be back next year, and hopefully bigger, and hopefully
way bigger.
It
has so much potential.
Yeah,
but I don't know what they do in other countries. To me, it should be like the CrossFit Games. Talking about the good and the bad of the CrossFit. The CrossFit Games, like a little expo. They have stuff like a pull-up competition for T-shirts. They have the games. They have food. They got.
Yeah.
How's the World's Strongest Man is arguably just as big or bigger than what CrossFit's ever been. Each one of those guys each have 1 million followers on YouTube and Instagram, and they're not all strong, man. People just like it now. Like it's just cool now.
Oh, it's definitely the most. It's funny. Like it was really popular when we were little. I would watch the old videos of those. And that's how I honestly think the first fitness shit that I got into was strongman.
That's everyone.
I wasn't doing it myself, but that's when I was on TV. This is fitness right here.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah,
and it is a good combination of strength and endurance. Mm-hmm. Like the last event we watched was like a 30-40 second sprint. that you're fucking lifting heavy ass shit. You're lifting 400 to 500 pounds for 40 seconds.
That's cool.
Like, that's a cool combo of shit, and these guys are bigger and do shit we can't do.
They're a lot larger than life type people.
Makes sense why the NBA is cool. You see fucking, these guys are 7 feet. They do shit we can't do, but you can relate. Yeah, hopefully they blow it up. But yeah, shout out to those guys. Come to SAC.
I am at DJ McD on all the social medias. This show is 50% facts for percentage of words. Silent Mike is Silent Mike. Third Street Barbell on Instagram has got a 3 in it because somebody else has the words already. So, oh no, it's actually too long. That's the problem. Anyway, join us next week when we'll be talking about something, and I don't know what that'll be. Have a great week.